the Capitol driveway gate. I'm not sure why. Okay, so this is convening the Committee on Ways and Means and Public Safety, Intergovernmental, and Military Affairs. So this morning we'll hear from two departments. The first department is Department of Defense, and then we'll hear from Department of Public Safety, who will present their biennium budgets. Good morning.
Good morning.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Okay. Hello and good morning, Chair De La Cruz, Vice Chair Keith Agaran, Chair Nishihara, Vice Chair English, and members of the Ways and Means and Public Safety Committees. I'm Major General Kenneth Hara, Adjutant General for the State of Hawaii, Department of Defense. I'll be providing you an information briefing on the Department's biennium budget for state fiscal year 22 and 23. Before I get started, I'd like to introduce the division heads and key tag staff that are on virtually. My Deputy Adjutant General, Colonel Stephen Logan, the Chief of Staff for the Hawaii Army National Guard, Colonel Tyson Tahara, the Director of Staff for the Hawaii Air National Guard, Colonel Christoph Sills, Administrator for the Hawaii Emergency Management Agency, Luke Myers, Acting Director for the State Office of Homeland Security, Jimmy Collins, Director of Community Programs that oversees our Youth Challenge Academy, Brigadier General Retired Bruce Oliveira, Director of Office of Veteran Services, Colonel Ron Hahn, my Military Support Officer, Brigadier General Neil Mitsuyoshi, and Administrative Support Officer, Colonel Rusty Spray, and Engineering Officer, Colonel Xiaoyu Li. So just as a start, the State of Hawaii Department of Defense has 6 divisions, the Hawaii Army and Air National Guard, Hawaii Emergency Management Agency, Office of Homeland Security, Office of Veteran Services, and the Youth Challenge Academy. Primary mission for the department is to enable safe, secure, and prosperous Hawaii. To accomplish this, we take an all-of-community approach and to prepare the state for catastrophic natural or man-made disasters. We coordinate preparedness activities to improve the state's ability to prevent an event, build resilience to absorb the effects of a disaster, and by organizing capabilities, capacities, and authorities to rapidly respond to and recover from catastrophic disasters. Before I dive into the 22-23 budget, I want to just give you an idea of what our 21 budget looked like. So at the start of fiscal year 2021, our state's budget was $25.4 million, but that was reduced by $2.4 million, or 9.4%. So our total new budget is now just over $107 million, 23 million state, which is 21%, and then 84 million federal, which is 79% of our budget. Currently, we have a total of 478 positions. However, Act 9 defunded 85 of those positions. But in reality, the department is currently funded for just 393 positions. Switching to the FY 22-23 budget, based on the governor's decision, our general fund will equal $23.2 million. We anticipate this will bring in $81.5 million of federal funds for a total budget of $104.7 million. The department is projected to lose a total of 68 positions that I mentioned. So funding-wise, it's 68, but in reality, because of the percentages, it's actually 72 positions is affected in the department. So the new total would be 410 positions. We also requested 3 CIP projects totaling $7.2 million in state funds. That will equate to $8.7 million in federal funds. The first is the West Hawaii Veterans Cemetery expansion improvements. That's just $500K of state funds, state bonds, which will bring in $4.41 million in federal funds. Also, the disaster warning communication devices statewide, $5 million, $2.5 million in 22 and $2.5 million in 23. And then retrofit of public buildings with hurricane protective measures, total of $6 million, $3 million in each year of the biennium. To answer the questions that was posed in the letter by WAM, the major lessons learned during the pandemic, the first one, Chair, Hawaii Emergency Management Agency, I think we've been in discussion for a long time about the inadequacy of space and layout of Berkheimer Tunnel. during this pandemic, we learned that just the space alone, if it was a major disaster, we'd have a really hard time to operate for both, major hurricane or definitely with the pandemic, especially for physical distancing. And then, that's that tunnel was built in 1901, so over 100 years ago. So we do really support the idea of building a emergency operations center in central Oahu, away from the Honolulu urban hub. And they'll build, again, towards resilience, right? If we keep the tunnel, if there's a major disaster, we could bring the governor there to get him spun up real quickly, and then if able to, we can drive him to the main emergency operations center or fly him via helicopter from Diamond Head. So that's something that we'd like to look in the future beyond the biennial. The other thing we learned is we need to look at really leveraging technology to be able to telework. We found that we can accomplish most of our core functions by telework for certain individuals, and we'd like to continue that on. The other thing is the Hawaii Emergency Management Agency needs to be reorganized. We have a really time recruiting and retaining the best professionals, improve career progression, streamline grant administration, and improve our ability to simultaneously conduct current operations while still planning for future operations. But then, due to the budgetary constraints, our department may divest certain activities that are not focused on the department's core functions. So some of the major adjustments in the budget request, and as a result of the budget due to COVID-19 pandemic, we are planning to close the Hawaii Youth Challenge Academy on the island of Hawaii in Hilo. That equates to about 42 positions. So it's $612,000 from the state and just about $2.4 million federal. DOD is also requesting transfer trade-off internally. This is a zero-sum game, so we hope that gets approved. And then what was added to our budget was this, the ability to do the airport thermal screening, but I was told that the $1 million of aid funding is no longer needed. So that concludes my information briefing, so I'm open to any questions. And we do have, as I mentioned, my key administrators from the divisions and key staff to answer questions as well. Thank you.
Members' question?
Oh, I forgot to mention Happy New Year to everyone.
Happy New Year.
Yes.
Thank you.
You have questions?
Closing down the Youth Challenge operations on the Big Island and Kauai.
Just Hawaii, the island of Hawaii.
Just
Hilo.
Big Island, or
Just
not,
Big
not
Island.
Kauai.
No, Hawaii.
So how many participants are there in that program now?
So about 42, so 31.5 temp and
That's staffing.
that's staffing.
He's
So what are you
asking
asking
for
about?
Participants.
enrollment.
Yeah.
Oh, enrollment. General Oliver, are you on? Can you answer that?
$150.
No, less
Yes,
than
this
100.
is Bruce Oliver with the Youth Challenge Academy. Currently at Hilo, they'll be starting their classes next week Wednesday. It looks like they have right now, and there's still a couple other students that they're looking at bringing in. They're just about 60 students. At Kalailoa, they're close to 80.
Kalailoa or Kauai?
No,
Kalailoa. We only have in Hilo and
That's-
Kalailoa. Oahu.
Okay, yeah.
There's two programs.
The 60 on the Big Island is from the entire Big Island or just the Hilo area?
Primarily neighbor
Yeah.
islands, right, Bruce?
I think it's
Correct.
within the state.
The Hilo campus is focused on all the islands except
Yeah.
Oahu. Kalailoa just takes care of Oahu.
Oh.
Sad.
So next year, they're gonna shut it down.
That's the correct plan in the governor's.
So that was not in the department budget proposal then?
Well, you know how they asked the department to provide the 10%, 15%, and 20%? That was in our 20% proposal.
Okay.
I
But
mean,
you
that's the
had-
only way we could have make the ends meet, right?
But your budget was, you said 9%.
it was cut 9%. So
But
that
they
was an
took it.
85 defunded position.
So, but they took it out of your 20% cut, even though you only have a 9% cut.
Correct. Yeah.
So,
Strange.
continue the same discussion.
Okay.
So so the budget cut you have, the state's contribution was 612,000, but your contribution for federal is 2.3.
Yeah,
And
2.36.
so that's only for Hilo.
Just Hilo, correct.
Such a big disparity. I think we got more in the Fed, so kind of sad to see that go.
Generally, the program is 75-25.
Yeah. So
That's-
this is for the next round then, right? Because you budgeted up till July, yeah?
Correct.
You
yes.
okay for up
Yeah,
to July?
so in discussion with General Oliveira yesterday, we plan to continue the class that he talked about the 60 students.
Yeah.
And then what our fear is, some of the employees may be looking for another job, right, knowing that the program's going to shut down. So what cannot be absorbed at Oahu, as if we start losing and we cannot meet the student to cadre ratio, then we'll move those cadets from the island of Hawaii to the Kalailoa campus and plus up the Kalailoa campus.
So what's the budget for Kalailoa?
The total, I'm not sure. Bruce, do you know that? Or Rusty?
State's contribution and Fed.
Stand by, I gotta look that figure.
So Kalailoa is going to absorb that the next budget cycle.
No, so if
It's
but
gonna
if
double, yeah?
yeah, but if
More than
Kalailoa is
double.
going to absorb it, there's increased costs at
So
Kalailoa.
That's right.
the cadre, that's just for this year, right? After that, then we're only going to recruit towards the Oahu campus.
Oh, so neighbor islands would be out.
I mean, no, previously, before we had the Hilo campus, was statewide. It's just
Yeah.
we can go, the max capacity at Kalailoa is generally, it should be 100, but we generally recruit above 100 because you lose some cadets through attrition. And then for the island of Hawaii, they can sleep, the building that we built on the island of Hawaii in Hilo is 75. But again, we recruit to more than that and try to right-size the number. We're trying to get the neighbor island to 100 because that's the model for U Challenge, the program. So it was
And
be
the
100
campus is in with
with the National Guard.
the National
yeah,
Guard,
at
so
KMR.
it's perfect, and it's a nice place.
Correct.
Okay. So sad.
Well, I'm trying to find the area where the table that shows your proposal and then what the governor proposed. Because in your budget proposal, you actually have it included as aid funds, right? When you look
Yes.
at table 3.
Rusty, can you confirm that?
Table 3.
Yes,
Yeah, so.
yes.
Should maybe look. Okay, so if you guys look at table 3 and you look at the last 2 lines,
114, yeah?
yeah, so you can see that the department actually put it in at 24 positions, 24.5 positions for it, and
73.
1.476, 1,476,000, right? Then when you look at the governor's budget, he cut the 24 down to 14, and he took the amount of 1.4 down to 863.
Mhm.
You had any discussions with the governor why he did that?
I mean, it was a joint decision, right? As I looked
Yeah,
at
but
the
it was
budget,
part
what
of
they
your-
told me I had to cut. That's That's the only, we had to cut a program. I couldn't piecemeal.
No, but it was part of your 20% cut, not your 9.6% cut.
Correct.
So that's,
You took the highest.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because the department's got to choose what, 10, 15,
Yeah.
20.
Right.
Right.
So, I mean, he already made his priorities. This is my 10%
Yeah.
cut. So the admin could have just took the 10% cut, which probably would have had less impact on the department. But the admin decided to take not from the 10%, but the other within the 20.
Oh, sad.
So do you, I gotta check with WAM staff if we have a copy of the memos of the 10, 15, 20. And then we can see what the original 10% was. Any other questions? Any questions online? Any members?
Oh, yeah, the airport funding.
Which,
No, he's saying he doesn't need it anymore.
Oh, yeah,
The
oh, yeah,
thermal
the 1
screening?
million, yeah.
yeah,
is-
1 million, yeah.
What's gonna happen?
Rusty, what was the decision why we don't need the 1.1 million anymore for the thermal screening?
After doing the Safe Travels program contracts, the money that was given to us to perform that function is included now in the current contract.
Oh, okay, okay. So you're still gonna provide?
Correct.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Chair, I have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
Hi, Senator Morawaki.
I am Major. Hi, how are you? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
I'm interested that you're doing a reorg. I don't know if it's reflected in your budget or your testimony, but you said that, will help you in terms of keeping your professionals and having a career ladder. Does that have any impact on the budget, either increasing or decreasing? And what have you done, or is it reflected here?
So we did put in a legislative proposal requesting to convert certain positions, key positions within Hawai'i from civil service to exempt. So that's the biggest change. So organizationally trying to build, to get rid of the flat line was one. And then two is to be able to recruit and retain the best people. We feel that if we convert it to exempt, that'll help our department.
The conversion to exempt is how you're going to be able to
For,
be
yes,
more
for
flexible.
key positions, correct.
Okay. And then you mentioned teleworking, so you've already started that, and
Well, we've
your
been teleworking,
experience-
following the pandemic, and we looked at, hey, for some positions, that might be a feasible option. So it's just something we're looking at in the future.
So you've tried it already during the pandemic, and it's
Oh,
working?
absolutely, yes. The entire department was teleworking, including the National Guard. We even did our military training teleworking on some of our weekend training events.
Be interested to hear more about that,
Okay.
on your experience and what it takes, the technology as well. Yeah.
Right.
Okay, thank you, Chair.
Okay, I want to go to table 5. Okay, so I see when you look at Defense 110, freeze position, coordinator and security officer position, degrading of Homeland Security Services, impact of reduction. Ooh. And then it also says, oh shit, Defense 112, reduction operating funds and vacancy, degrading of veteran burial. Can you explain those two cuts?
We'll do it backwards. So Ron, can you talk about the OVS, the burial? I know we lost some positions.
Copy that. Thank you, Senator. Happy New Year, and thank you, General Hara. For the query on the Hawaii State Veteran Cemeteries, that's a cemetery operations manager position, sir. And that one's a tier 1 position. In fact, all my positions, the 5 that are listed there that were defunded, are all tier 1 mission essential positions. And so for the last 2.5 years, we've been trying to hire for those positions. We have put somebody in there, but that didn't work out. It's not an easy job to be dealing with that particular death and dying situation on a day-to-day basis. So we have worked really hard to try to slot that position to bring somebody on board on 1 February, taking down another position. But once again, all those positions that they're all tier 1, and we desperately need those cemetery operations positions. And especially with all the changes that are going with the pandemic now, the limitations on burials, size of people that can attend, the next of kin, the family members, and just the additional protocol with having to inter those who have COVID-related issues when they are interred.
And then the first one you mentioned,
helps?
thanks, Ron, perfect.
And so how is that going to impact current veteran state cemeteries?
I got to figure out a way to fund that thing, even if work again with budget and finance. There's some critical positions that we're working on that were defunded. Even some key positions from Hawai'i were defunded.
But
in
they
Act
were
9.
taken from your 20% cut, not your 10% cut.
Well, this was actually previously, right? This is from the Act 9, the initial sweep.
But it says that's from the veteran burial.
Veterans burial, some from Hawai'i. And then we thought was the statewide interoperability coordinator. What we found out, the position description was incorrect. The actual position
No, but the
is our
vacancies
cyber.
your vacancies were included back. Just the monies were taken out. This is the taking it out completely.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, so Act 9 defunded, and then this new one would actually abolish the
Oh,
position.
wow.
So internally, we went by priority and looked at how we could do the transfer adjustments, but we just ran out of the ability to take from our operating budget to move towards payroll to fund these positions.
So this could, how many cemeteries do you manage?
Was it, so we got 2 on the Big Island, Maui, Molokai, Lanai, the Oahu, and Kauai 7.
And this would impact all 7.
General,
Was that right?
yeah. So the main one for the defunded positions.
Yeah, it would be just
Very
the
specific.
Kaneohe, just Oahu.
Hawaii State Veteran Cemetery, and so the right numbers, just one additional one that General Hara mentioned is actually 8.
Oh, okay.
And those other 7 ones for the neighbor islands were in partnership with the counties. So the respective counties do the day-to-day maintenance, and we provide the oversight. So all the CIP requests, the planning, the design, we work directly with the Veterans Affairs that provides the federal funds. And the county is the one that takes care of the day-to-day operations, does the interments for the other 7 on the neighbor islands. So, yeah, thank you,
Okay.
sir.
So this would primarily affect Kaneohe.
Yes.
That's correct, sir.
So what would you do, though? You would hold burials for a certain amount of time? Oh, I mean,
That's a great question, Senator. You know,
Yeah.
I think what's interesting to note is that I only have 50% man down there now. So none of those folks have been able to take any leave. And I've had to bring in temporary appointed positions to plus up there when somebody did go down. As far as, getting sick or had to do a medical appointment. And we've been just trying to do the very best we can. Again, all these positions were all funded and authorized. And again, it was just that snapshot in time when they took that snapshot in June that pulled those positions that defunded. Those are, again, all tier 1 mission essential positions. And we've been struggling out there, but we've been making it work because, again, that's something that you cannot, the honors and the dignity of interring of our veterans and their loved ones is priority for us. We do not miss any of those requirements or any of those standards that need to be done. Hope that answers your questions, ma'am.
okay. Yeah, so their planning has to be pretty much thought out, because if they're going to do burials, let's say only 2 a day or something like that, we're kind of fortunate that we don't have the numbers like the other states. So, you can, I guess, hold off, and work out a schedule of internment. But that's kind of sad. The only thing is, if they are cremated, that's no problem. You can hold, for quite a while. But what about those that are, they are religious efforts, and I think their protocol, like Catholics, they don't cremate.
No, I think they changed that.
They changed now. Oh, well, anyway.
That's
okay.
exactly right. I mean, there's a lot of religious protocols that go forth. And the issue is, you're absolutely right, Senator. When you have a cascaded burial that's coming up, you can't put that casket in storage for very long time.
Exactly, and that's what I was
Capacity.
trying to, get to, that, then that priority will be those people first, those families first. But anyway, you have,
So we've been
you have
scheduling,
challenges.
just like how you said, yeah, we've been doing the priorities, and so far we've been meeting all the requirements. Again, it's just been very difficult with the 50% man out there, not having a cemetery operations manager that oversees that operation. And that's kind of important. So more people have been picking up the slack. So yeah, thank
And you
for your-
already had some controversial issues with regards to that particular,
as far as-
that's our state facility,
Yeah.
right?
Correct.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
So it's, if you look, members, it's on table 4, it's the third
Okay.
line. So you can see the department's initial request was to fund it, and then BNF, and then the governor's decision were to delete it.
That was what, table 4, you said?
Table 4, and then line 3, Defense 112.
Okay.
And it's the same thing with the freeze of position. So you're going to talk about that one now.
Which one?
The coordinator and security officer, the SW.
Yeah, the SWIC, Statewide Interoperability Coordinator. So that was actually a mistake. The position is the cybersecurity officer position at Homeland Security.
What do you
So
mean?
we had the position number, and then when the report came out, it said the Statewide Interoperability Coordinator, so we freaked out because it's a critical position for us. And when we went back in reality, they're deleting that cyber position, so it has way less impact for our department.
Until there's a cyber attack.
Yeah.
Proceed.
Good question, though. What if there is a cyber attack and you don't have a position there? Who does it?
So we have other programs. Part of the Hawaii State Fusion Center, we have cyber intel analysts that work with all of our partners, federal, state, local, and the private sector as
They
well.
would do it.
Yeah.
Jerry, can I ask, can you have, on the Youth Challenge, I'm curious, so out of 60 this year for Hilo, I'm just curious to see where those participants come from. You can
Oh, the
send it-
different islands, sure.
Yeah, the different islands,
Okay.
like out of the 60 where they're from.
Well, you can just send
Send it to the,
Okay,
yeah, the youth challenge is on table 4 too, so you can see it. It's Defense 114, Youth Challenge Academy, it's it's the YCA, fixed cost fringe benefits. So you can see the department asked for a little over $1 million, and then BNF and the governor's decision were to delete it.
yeah, just out of curiosity, where they're coming from, the 60.
Okay, any
Okay.
other questions? Okay, we're gonna recess so that we can hear from Department of Public Safety.
okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Department of Public Safety. So good morning.
Hi, good morning, Chairs De La Cruz, Nishihara, Vice Chairs, committee members. I'm Max Otani, Director of Public Safety. I was told I could not use the recently appointed Director of Public Safety.
Acting,
Huh?
No, we have
You have to confirm
yeah,
it, yeah.
We have to, until we vote on your,
Confirmation.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, sorry. I believe you have our written testimony and the testimony of the Hawaii Paroling Authority and Crime Victims Compensation. Today I'll be summarizing our testimony, public safety's testimony, using the format provided by Chair De La Cruz. So, mission and major functions. PST's mission is to uphold justice and public safety by providing correctional and law enforcement services to Hawaii's communities with professionalism, integrity, and fairness. The Department is able to accomplish this mission through three major divisions: corrections, law enforcement, general administration under 19 program IDs with 2,782.6 authorized permanent positions. These positions include healthcare staff, adult correctional officers, law enforcement officers, facility maintenance staff, cooks, social workers, case managers, parole officers, and administrative support staff. Lessons learned during the pandemic crisis. We're currently dealing with the largest outbreak in the state at the Halawa Correctional Facility, which began last month. We've also addressed previous outbreaks at the Oahu Community Correctional Center and the Waiava Correctional Facility. We were also monitoring the outbreak at our contracted facility, the Saguaro Correctional Center in Arizona. The Sheriff's Division had to address detection of the virus in the court cell block, which affected staff and detainees there. PST's correctional facilities have been successful in implementing pandemic plans when the situation arises. Lessons learned. Early efforts made by PSD to prevent and contain the virus within the facilities helped delay the introduction of the virus. These efforts included implementation of the facility's pandemic response plans, supplying employees with properly fitting PPEs, training, frequent testing, frequent sanitation, and more testing. This need not to be said, but I will say it anyway. What we learned was employees are the greatest asset, especially during this pandemic. Healthcare division staff are at the forefront of the department's response to the COVID-19 pandemic, which requires all healthcare disciplines to provide healthcare services, assistance, and monitoring capabilities at all correctional institutions. Adult correctional officers' positions are necessary to safely operate our correctional institutions. Law enforcement officers are needed to assist in safe travel and vaccine distribution. Prison and jail overcrowding, makes it difficult to implement social distancing, quarantine, and medical isolation. We've been able to address COVID similar to fashion in the community with the exception of social distancing. As we learn more about the virus, the pandemic plan is updated to address issues that were previously unknown. We are currently awaiting the rollout of the vaccine to the inmate population, which we believe will be a game changer in dealing with the virus. Our budget priorities, operating budget, we're seeking funding for 298.5 unfunded positions. Of these positions, the legislature unfunded last year. The majority are ACOs and healthcare professionals. 160 ACO positions, 26.5 healthcare professionals, and also included is 19 deputy sheriffs. Funding for these unfunded positions is critical because we need ACOs, healthcare, law enforcement, especially during the pandemic. Some of the consequences we foresee with ACOs, short staffing resulting in increased overtime and holding back employees from multiple shifts, closure of essential posts relating to health and safety concerns, and closure of non-essential posts which would impact services to inmates. For healthcare, increased overtime because we are constitutionally mandated to provide services relating to healthcare which cannot be reduced. Law enforcement officers, reduce services relating to safe travel, vaccine distribution, and among other duties mentioned in our written testimony. As for CIP, the urgent need to replace and relocate the current OCCC remains a top priority for our department. PSD with DAGS received approval for the plan review used from the City Council in February 2020 to move forward with the work site at the Halava Animal Quarantine Site as a new home for OCCC. Another priority in CIP is the completion of the HCCC and MCCC housing projects. We have 2 projects at Women's Correctional Community Center which are moving forward, and these will add up to 172 bids, and the renovation of the whole Kipa Cottage will add up to 65 bids. That pretty much concludes my oral
Thank you.
testimony, and I will
Members,
try to answer any
questions?
questions you may have.
Questions? Anyone, any members on Zoom with questions? I have a question. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, you know, the proposed, they've been, I think DAX has been meeting with some people about OCCC proposals that they maybe decide to look at. You've been involved with those too?
I have not, but I've heard about them, and I think there is somebody that's interested that wants to meet with us, and we're trying to schedule a meeting at this point.
I think it was a local group, I think.
Uh-huh.
That's the one, from what I was told by DAGS, that it's a doctor he's got a group of people, and I guess it's something that they're just having more conversations about. It's not a proposal yet, but
Yeah.
I was told that they were willing to put up everything, and so it would be the state coming up with the money for it. And at the end of the period, they would just transfer all of that over to the state.
Right.
And
We-
so,
Yeah, we would still have to go through the regular process
Right.
of issuing an RFI or an RFP,
Yeah.
to solicit bids.
yeah, when I talked to someone who was with the group, what is it, the Core Civic,
Uh-huh.
he said, the person said that when it comes to soliciting proposals, they'll be interested in also probably putting out a proposal
Right.
as well. So I imagine it will be more than just them,
Yes.
yeah.
I think we will probably have several people interested
I'm
in
sure they would be.
putting in a proposal.
Because at this point, the state really doesn't have the money to go and put one out.
Right.
So would have to be people like these who are willing to put up the money up front.
Right. And I think in the RFI process, the financing would be a big part of the
Yeah.
RFI.
If I can just ask if your department can provide an updated vacancy list, because we have some discrepancies between the vacancy list and the BJ tables.
Okay, we will get that to you, Senator.
Okay, if not, no questions. Thank you.
Thank you.